What's up, guys? It's Mirror in Media, and I'm here with a topic that I've been thinking about a lot. Yes, I am an adult, even though I look young for my age, but I still watch cartoons, whether it be Steven Universe or old cartoons that I have been thinking about a lot and been looking on YouTube or trying to find on other websites and such like the Wayback Machine. And I thought of this idea about talking about cartoons that I used to watch, and I wish they would come back on. Not saying they need to make a new season or anything like that, but maybe reruns just to remember when I used to watch them. And I thought it would be a fun topic to talk about. So there's no order of which one is better or which one is not as great. They're all great in my opinion. And if you have any opinions about it or mention any cartoons that you will still watch today or used to watch in the comments below, let's get into this. So the first one we're going to talk about is Pepper Ann. Pepper Ann was so great. I remember seeing this redhead in like seventh grade. The theme song itself was just like, who's that girl? What's her name? Like it drew me in. I loved singing the theme song, and I felt like I knew her, even though she complained and made it seem like it was the end of the world for everything, but it was more relatable. At the time when I watched it, I wasn't in seventh grade, I was a lot younger, but at the same time, it was like she was one of my friends, and I can understand what she was going through. School is so impossible. I hate my teachers. My parents don't get me. All this crap and drama that I didn't get the chance at the time when it was coming on, that I didn't experience yet because I wasn't even a teenager at the time. But I digress about that. The next one we're going to talk about is Teacher's Pet. I don't know. I've talked to some people about it. They don't even remember it, or they kind of do, but they didn't really watch it. It was amazing. Came on Disney, and the concept kind of reminded me and similar to Pinocchio, I guess, in a way. I'll get to the reason why I say that. Well, there was a dog that was talking, and he pretended to be a student in his owner slash best friend's class, and the kid's mom was his teacher, which was embarrassing enough. But the fact that it was like it related so much to Pinocchio is because he wanted to be a real boy, even though he had this ability to talk. Um, the fact that if they found out he was an actual dog, he would have, I guess he would probably been like a freak show act in some sense. But it was an amazing show. I wish it had longer seasons. Like, I feel like the common ground for these cartoons is most of them didn't last that long. Either they had their run or they were there for that time period and it didn't last that long, so then eventually they had gotten canceled, or they just they weren't showing it anymore. But at least we have that memory of those shows. Like, some people will describe a show and probably don't remember the name, but at the same time, it's still in your memory of how great it was and whatever it made you feel. Like the next one we're talking about, number 3, Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. I liked that show. It was so weird and random and had those concepts where they had like certain things that were like jump scares, and at the time there weren't a lot of, even now there's not a lot of shows that do jump scares and children's shows because of the fact that they may be like threatened by the parents, like, what's wrong with you, why did you have a jump scare in a cartoon? And sure, there was shows that would have scary themes if it was during Halloween or something like that, where they would have scary topics or scary things related to Halloween, but a jump scare and something you don't even expect a cartoon show is actually really humorous to me and draws me towards it a lot more, because the card like the cartoonish way they draw it is creepy and it's itself sometimes, but then also the themes that they put in the cartoon could be relatively creepy, or I don't want to say relative, but like candy addiction, you can translate that to addiction in itself to anything else, where they could say, yeah, the candy wasn't really candy, it was a drug, but I guess to relate to kids, they said, oh, so they're addicted to candy, or they love candy that much. There have been other characters in the past that have been related to, or have been addicted to candy, but not in such an extreme where they will travel the end of the world just to get to an island that is nothing but candy. It's comical to me. They had also pirates involved and scurvy, or like they talk about disease. And the sad part is they're homeless. They live in a whale, and Bubby is literally like, I don't know what type of whale she is. They don't say if she's a humpback or anything like that, but Flapjack loved Bubby, and the fact that everyone cared about Flapjack except for Captain Knuckles. I think in a way he did care about him, but he just really didn't show it. But they were like each other's. I guess Flapjack, even though he's a main character, was his sidekick, which is actually funny to me as well. But I can actually talk about this in the whole video. That's how much I love this cartoon. But I don't know why they canceled it. I feel like Cartoon Network has a history of cartoons that maybe adults like more, and because it's not getting ratings from children, they cancel it very quickly. And then they'll probably make a movie for like fans, or they probably won't. Now recently, they started doing that for Adventure Time or regular show. They'll do a movie, and when they do a movie, you know it's gonna get canceled. And unfortunately, I don't want to say this goes into the next cartoon we're going to talk about, because I'm not relatively sure they made a movie for Chowder. But yeah, Chowder is great because not only do I love to cook, but the sense of putting foods and putting into this comedy cartoon was genius to me. The clay animation and then all the other parts of the animation was very creative. All these cartoons have some type of unique theme to it, but also it shows the diversity that comes a long way in cartoons, not just like drawing something and not having something you learn about. Like, I'm sure there's not a lot of kids that know what a garbanzo bean is and the many forms of ways you can make like bread out of it. Or it's not just a character, it's actually food that you can eat. So not only are you watching something that could be, I guess, your opinion is different from mine, but I think it's hilarious. But yeah, you can also learn different things about food from the cartoon too, and how to cook it. So yeah. The next one is Miss Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which I think, if you kind of think about it, it also kind of dives in, but doesn't really talk about mental health in the sense of children are giving their imaginary friends to a foster home in itself, where the teenagers to adults do not see these imaginary friends, and some of them, unless they're still adolescents, do see them, but adults don't see these imaginary friends. So it's like you have a house full of nothing in it but the grandma and the main character, Fran. Otherwise, it's a very empty house. But other than that, Blue and Max are the main two characters, and they never like talk about it, but this like hints, and to think about it now gives you that vibe of, oh, maybe this character Max has like some mental health problems, where he sees something that normally no one else does see, and that's his best friend. Because usually you don't say that he has outside friends from from Blue, but other than that, it's not really sad, but if you think about it, it is kind of sad. And he misses school just to go to the foster home, just to hang out with him. Oh, now that I think about it, it's kind of sad. Okay. The next one is The Weekenders. I love The Weekenders. I love the theme song. I guess they're based off of California, but they call it another town. And the characters are awesome. The area, I think everything becomes fluently well in it. Like, even the parents, mind you, I don't remember all the characters' names because it's been so long since I've watched it. But the main character's mom usually has some word of wisdom where you don't necessarily always see it in cartoons where the mom is involved or the parents are involved and they're telling them something so the character can realize, hey, I messed up, or you know what, you might be right about that, or give you some type of opinion about something, and maybe you were thinking of it or maybe you're not, but it really showed that, it's great that he has a supporting parent in his life, and not it's hinted that it is, but she's actually there. I don't know about the dad. I think there was an episode there was a dad in there, but I guess he wasn't fully in his life. I don't really remember. And then from the town itself, where there's a pizza place that changes the name every time they go there on the weekend, it was really funny. It was which name is it gonna be this time? I miss that show. I wish they would bring that back. Maybe in the Wayback Machine I could probably find it, but I don't think so. The next one I'm going to talk about is Courage the Cowardly Dog. Courage the Cowardly Dog! Oh man. There's so many episodes that had scary concepts that were very sad, and then there's a jump scare at the end. But Mariel, and there's conspiracies about Courage the Cowardly Dog that are really weird in itself, even where it could be just in Meryl's mind that the dog is talking, or the fact that Courage is actually scared, he's seeing these monsters but they're actually human, but in his eyes they're what he sees in the cartoon, which is really deep, and I think that's interesting too. I wish they brung it is, I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but I wish they kept that going. But like I said, Cartoon Network, they're infamous for putting a cartoon on or showing that matter and then taking it off. They just didn't do a movie for that one. But there's so many memes for Courage the Cowardly Dog, so obviously people still remember that cartoon and they still talk about it now. And the fact that they still talk about it maybe will help bring it back. Let's go to the next one. So number 8 is Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold is really great because not only did I want his room, he was a young adult. He had situations that happened that were relatable in real life, especially if you were born in the city. You can understand what he's going through, except for the whole fact that his room was amazing. What? His room itself is like an adult apartment. But I guess I was aggressive about that. Yeah, I have some envy from him. But the fact that he lived with his grandparents that were questionable anyway. They're putting this kid through things like the grandmother was senile and probably had dementia, but they don't really mention about it. It's in like a way where you have to find out about this when you're an adult. But as a kid, you're just thinking, oh, that's just crazy old Gran, which is very sad in a way too. The grandfather is probably stuck in that frame of mind that like the war is still happening, and but he's more, I guess, sensible than the grandmother. But they both care for Arnold in such a way that not only would he be safe around them, they or relatively safe. Uh, their neighbors in the apartment building cared about him too, and he also helped them solve problems during certain episodes, like the porch kids. No, stoop kid's afraid to leave his stoop, and he finally does. Monkey Man and all these characters. Even when I remember that song, what's it called? Wait, how does it go? I saw your face and wow. I saw your face and wow. That's that card. Like, Hey Arnold is amazing. The music was great. Because it gave you that vibe. Maybe, like, they don't specify where he lived in New York. Obviously, he lived in New York, but I kind of personally think it may have been Harlem, probably Brooklyn. I don't know, but, like, I hate the snow. I hate the snow. And then they poured the fire hydrant on the ground and had like an ice rink. It was really great. But yeah, there was really depressing moments where like you can go through a lot of talking about the topics that happened in Hey Arnold, like Helga's parents. They don't say it, but yeah, I didn't realize that his mom was her mom was an alcoholic because they hide it with her drinking smoothies, and it's just like, oh, now that makes sense. Every time they go into a hectic situation, she gets a smoothie, and then even in times where her dialogue is very questionable, like, yeah, she almost drove into farmland because of her being distracted by something that could have triggered or like caused harm mentally to Helga. But Helga's so, I guess, numb to everything that's happening around her that she's obviously angry at her mom for being a smoothie addict, quote unquote. But like, even the way she talks to her mom is like, oh my gosh, she didn't make lunch again, or it would be great if I didn't have to do the chores this time, and like you staying home all the time, but you don't do anything but drink smoothies. And then when I tell you my problems, you ignore them or you're not even paying attention. That's very sad. And don't get me started on her dad. Her dad is only like worried about minor things and just doesn't pay attention to what's going on with his wife. And then her daughter, like everybody seems to be having some type of form of mental health issues. Or like, I guess you can take it the form of the 7 deadly sins. And her father has the form of pride. He has too much pride to even confront his own problems because he's so caught in a cloud that he doesn't even think about anybody else but himself. So it is very sad. And Helga's sister is clinically depressed. And sometimes I feel like she's addicted to the depression, that she doesn't want to get away from that depression. Any little thing can cause a trigger, and wanting her to go into her room and cry is so bad. Yeah, I could talk about these cartoons in one full length video because of how much things, especially in Arnold, like each episode is like, wow, you can relate to these things, or you can better understand them and realize that it's deeper than just for kids type of cartoon that kids watch. So, next one. Now we're talking about Rugrats, number 9. Rugrats is, I guess it's a pure 90s cartoon. Even though they had all grown up in like the early 2000s, it's not as great. Rugrats, without the Rugrats, they wouldn't be a grown up, but all grown up. But the Rugrats was great with the fact that the kids are talking and the parents, they don't understand them. It's like that whole concept of Lucky Charms. When you're a kid, you can see the shapes and stuff, but once you become an adult, you can only see circles. And in that sense, like, the kids understand each other, but when they become adult, they don't understand each other. Well, I guess they're kids and they're talking kid gibberish, but once they become adults, like they're so filled with like things that are stressful for an adult. They're not even thinking about the kids. Chucky was my favorite character, because there's so many things that he's dealing with, and he's still like brave enough to go through these adventures with Tommy. Even though I guess Tommy is the leader, so he has to be brave, but he had like certain scenarios where he was scared himself, which is cool. And they had, what's with 90s cartoons having trippy episodes or scary episodes? It makes you think more about it when you become an adult, or even during a time. It's like, what's going on with this? But it was interesting in itself, because like it kind of has a hidden thing where you have to figure it out. Like that weird episode when he has a twin and has a big nose. That was very strange. It was so strange. I don't know. So bonus, does anybody remember Ace Lightning? That used to come on Fox after Digimon. And it was like this kid sees a superhero, and yes, like I barely remember it, but it was so interesting to me at the time. I remember when it came on, because if that came on, I was late for the bus to get to school at 8 o'clock. It would come on. And the weird thing about it was like, it was based on like, it was like live action in a way, because the hero type was 3D or whatever, but the kid was in real life. So it was interesting. And I remember at the time when I was going to school, I would tell everybody, call me Ace. It was so embarrassing because they would actually do it, and I was like, I regret it. Don't do it. Okay, never mind. I don't know why it was cringeworthy to me. So, I was going to talk about Doug as a bonus, another bonus. Doug was weird. Panty Mayonnaise. These names are so random. Does anybody remember that episode where they're on a game show and like, I want to say, what's the orange-haired yellow fella with the greaser look is on it, I think, and Doug is on like a spinning reel pin, and I guess like, I just remember that part only, but it gave me nightmares for some reason. It was like, oh my god, what's going on? 90s like cartoons, movies, all that have always some type of scene in it, and not just 90s. It's just like back in that time period, like the infamous like Willy Wonka scene where they're in the tunnel and he's singing that song, and then they're just like tripping on acid for no reason. What's going on? And then now there's a whole bunch of conspiracies about that, of why he's going through these motions in this tunnel and freaking people out. And then it's like, all right, Coping, here's some chocolates. It's so weird. Also, conspiracies on Rugrats that it's all in Angelica's mind and these characters never existed. They died in some horrible way and it's still like messed up in her mind. It's like, what? Who made this conspiracy up? It's it kind of feels believable, but it's so sad because that would mean that Tommy never existed, Chucky never existed, Phil and Lil were actually in her head. Why? Why? I feel like my childhood is ruined from that. I could make so many other conspiracies about these cartoons, like Pepper Ann is actually. Okay, I don't think anybody said this before, I just thought about it. But what if Pepper Ann is not a seventh grade at all? She's actually an adult and she just remembers childhood like trauma in her head as if she's still there. You didn't think of that, did you? Oh man. Or maybe Teacher's Pet, she's she Teacher's Pet is actually like the dog is really a human, but how it works out is maybe he feels like I don't know. I just thought there was gonna be some type of concept there, but it didn't happen. Oh well. Anyway, I just thought of that. Hope you guys liked it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what's your favorite cartoon from back in the day. It can be any time period. As you see, I know that like I didn't want to say like a whole bunch of 90s cartoons, because there are a lot of cartoons during each era, and I could go even further, but I don't have that many details on a lot of other cartoons back in the day, like during the 70s or 60s or the 80s. Care Bears, they were there, they were a thing. My Little Pony, I didn't really watch it, even though My Little Pony still comes out, otherwise we wouldn't have bronies. It's cool. I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan per se where I watch it or know about it, so I can't really talk about it that much. But I'm fine with it. And also, cartoons that are relatively for kids per se, but adults still watch it, are great because it kind of reminds me of my childhood. Like, I said in the beginning of this video, I watched Steven Universe and Adventure Time. I know I didn't mention about that. I've mentioned about it, but I didn't say like that I watched it or whatever. And Regular Show, I watched it with my nieces, and they grew to love Adventure Time and Regular Show, and even cartoons that don't necessarily say, well, Bob's Burgers is amazing, in my opinion, and compared to like the cartoons like Family Guy, South Park. Like I used to watch South Park when I was younger, like when I was in 5th grade and older. Like I would be excited to watch each episode and stuff. But then as I grew older, I realized that they had like the same repetitive thing, being edgy and saying these offensive jokes just to see how how it would react to audiences is like very tiring. I don't see the point anymore. I'm not in that age gap anymore where I think that's funny. And plus, I didn't get every reference as an adult. I get some of the references, but I still don't think they're funny. That's it. The musical acts are redundant now. Like, okay, everything's a musical to you. But, like, are you just doing it to get an Emmy? Because I know in the past, Family Guy has gotten an Emmy. I don't know about South Park. They may have. I'm not sure. But I like trauma movies better than South Park. South Park, when I was younger, it was cool. But now it's not. Simpsons is going to be on. I guess these cartoons will never get canceled. I don't know. Not in a bad way, like, oh, this is trash. It needs to be canceled forever. Like, that sense. It's just like, you know how it has its run? I feel like Simpsons shouldn't be, I shouldn't say never, but shouldn't be canceled because it's been through pop culture so long. Until they were like, listen, we don't have any more ideas. It's done. Or they're just tired. But, like, I don't see them, unless it's already canceled, I just don't know. I don't see them getting tired of just making fun of pop culture or related things and concepts and stuff. And it's not just like it's not just about talking about offensive things or being edgy like South Park. Um, it's so funny that I used to like this show as a cartoon, but now I don't. And it's not like I'm like, oh, I hate it. It's more like I'm over it. I'm watching no more. The same thing with I was gonna say South Park again. The same thing with Family Guy. I'm over it. I used to watch it, and even when I was watching, it was not like how I used to watch South Park. Family Guy I would watch it because I was bored, and me and my sisters would watch it. That was it. There's no other reason. Like when they have those comedy skit parts where it goes into the act of the joke, I wouldn't really laugh because I didn't get the joke, as I said before. But I like The Simpsons, even though, like, The Simpsons and Family Guy have that, like, stick of the father is stupid. Simpsons have been on longer than Family Guy. But, I don't know. What do you guys think of that also? Bob's Burgers is better. I just like it. The drawings are like, I don't know. I never had like, okay, I think the worst drawings are Big Mouth. It's really weird. At first when I was watching it, I thought it was okay, but not the drawings. I'm just saying this, the humor is weird. I watched I Hate Everything part of it. Like I watched the whole thing and I got what he was saying. Whose audience is Big Mouth for? I know it's a coming of age story about, hormonal stuff, girls getting their periods and guys like getting hair in their armpits and stuff like that. But then at the same time, they do have concepts like, or they talk about certain things where I'm sure like kids that are getting in that stage period don't know what the hell they don't know what's going on. Or like the ghost in the closet. I mean, not the closet, the attic. What does that have to do with anything? Okay, he died in there, but this is like, it's so random. I still kind of watch it, but I'm still like watching it because I'm bored, and then I don't laugh at none of the stuff. Not saying, to me, it's not like funny to me, but I'm sure to other people it's hilarious because they're still coming out with seasons. So, whatever, it's not a big deal. I'm not going out and like raging and going on like strike or whatever. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'm Mirren Media, and this is the end. Bye!